Hidden deep within the forests and wetlands of Sullivan County, New York, lies a place that most people will never see. Far beyond the main roads, hidden among the woods of the Bashakill, rests a cemetery, a small cemetery that has quietly witnessed more than 2 centuries of history. To many people, it is simply an old burial ground. But to those who take the time to explore it, Brownsville Cemetery serves as a doorway into a forgotten chapter of New York's past. Today, the cemetery sits in peaceful isolation. Bird song echoes through the trees. The wind moves through the forest canopy, and nature surrounds nearly every corner of this historic resting place. Yet there was a time when this landscape looked very different. Long before this area became known for wildlife observation and outdoor recreation, families lived and worked throughout this region. These forests were smaller. Fields stretched across the landscape. Farms dotted the countryside, and small communities worked together to survive in a challenging world. Brownsville was one of those communities. Although little remains of the settlement today, the cemetery preserves the names of many who once called this place home. The people buried here helped shape the early history of Mamakating. Mating and the surrounding region is a long. Historical records indicate that the cemetery was formally deeded to the town of Mamakating on October 9th, 1851. The land was transferred by Benjamin E. Brown and his wife Elizabeth Brown. Their family name would become forever connected to this place. And many historians believe the community itself took its name from the Brown family. But the history of Brownsville Cemetery extends far beyond 1851. Several graves found here are older than the official deed. Some burials date back to the early 1800s, meaning families were already living, working, and burying loved ones here, decades before the cemetery became formally recognized. As we walk among these graves today, it can be difficult to imagine what life was like for the people buried here. The world they knew was vastly different from our own. There were no automobilists, no electricity, no telephones, no internet, no modern hospitals. Every aspect of life required hard work. Food had to be grown, wood had to be cut, homes had to be built and maintained by hand. Families depended on one another and on their neighbors. Survival itself demanded constant effort. One of the most sobering realities revealed by old cemeteries is how common loss was during the 19th century. Many people buried here died at ages that seem tragically young by modern standards. Several graves belong to children. Others belong to young adults who never reached old age. Today, many illnesses can be treated with a visit to a doctor. But for the families of Brownsville, even common diseases could become deadly. Infections, pneumonia, childbirth complications, injuries sustained during everyday work. Any of these could end a life far too soon. Yet these stones represent more than death. They represent lives. lives filled with experiences, hopes, dreams, achievements, and struggles. Every name carved into stone belonged to a real person. Someone who laughed, someone who worked, someone who loved and was loved in return. Imagine standing here around the year 1820. The landscape would have looked very different. Open farmland may have surrounded portions of the area. Smoke would rise from chimneys. Horse-drawn wagons would travel rough roads. Children would help with chores and farm work. Neighbors would rely on one another for support. For the families of Brownsville, this was not history. This was daily life. As generations passed, the community changed. Transportation improved, industries evolved, economic opportunities emerged elsewhere. Gradually, many rural settlements across New York began to shrink. Brownsville was no exception. Families moved away. Homes disappeared. Fields returned to forest. The community slowly faded from the landscape, but the cemetery remained. Today, Brownsville Cemetery serves as one of the last visible reminders that the community ever existed. Without places like this, entire chapters of local history could be lost. The cemetery preserves names, dates, relationships, and clues about the lives of those who came before us. In many ways, cemeteries are outdoor history books. Every stone contains information. Every inscription tells part of a story. Every grave helps historians understand the people who once lived here. The passage of time can erase buildings. Roads can disappear. Entire communities can fade from memory. But cemeteries often endure. They stand quietly as witnesses to generations of change. For more than 200 years, Brownsville Cemetery has watched the world transform around it. It has witnessed wars, industrial revolutions, technological advances, and the dramatic growth of modern society. Yet the people buried here remain connected to the landscape they once called home. The individuals resting here may never have become famous. They may never appear in history textbooks, but their lives mattered. They mattered to their families. They mattered to their community, and they played a role in shaping the history of this region. As we continue our journey through Brownsville Cemetery, take a moment to look beyond the stone itself. Think about the lives behind the names, the families behind the dates, the stories that once unfolded in this now quiet corner of New York. Although Brownsville may have disappeared from the map, its history has not disappeared. Its legacy remains here. Preserved among the trees, protected by time, and remembered through the names carved into these weathered stones. In the heart of the Bashakill, history still whispers, and Brownsville Cemetery continues to tell its story. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to join the Hoot Off Grid community. Your support helps me continue creating and sharing new content with all of you. This has been Hoot Off Grid, and I appreciate you more than you know. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next video.